Welcome, and from me is a Black Shark 4, and today I will show you a couple tweaks and tricks you can do on this device. So, starting off, we're going to begin with the refresh rate, and I believe by default it is actually set to the highest one, so we can go into the settings under display, right here, and let's scroll down to refresh rate, and it is ultimate, which is 144 Hertz. So, per second you're getting basically 144 images. Now this in theory is really nice, and if you're gaming on this device, because let's be honest, it's the design of this phone for gaming, then that's great. But other than that, it will consume a lot of your battery, and this doesn't seem to be adaptive refresh rate. So meaning if you don't need 144 Hertz because you're looking at a photo, this phone won't really change it to anything else, so it will consume way more battery than any other device. Also comparing it to phones that actually do have adaptive refresh rate, even if they have 144, this will have way shorter battery life than those devices with adaptive one, because adaptive one will drop it to some phones, I think even drop it to like 5 frames per second if you're looking at an image that has a picture or something like that, where you don't actually need to have so many frames pushed by the device. So in here you have 144, which is great. You can change it to 90, which will be probably like a sweet spot, and if you want to preserve your battery, you can switch it to 60 if you're, for instance, not planning to play games at some time. So anyway, moving on to the next one, it's going to be the Shark Space. Now obviously gaming phone comes with gaming application, and in here, once you open it up, flip it over. Once you open it up, you will have all your games that you have on your device. You can also launch them from here, which will terminate anything that is running in the background. As you can see, it will show you what it has done right now, how much memory it's saved up, and basically provide you with the best gaming performance. Additionally, I'm not exactly sure, but I would expect it might change the refresh rate of the device. So if you have it to 60 and you open game through the Shark Space, it might actually boost it up to higher refresh rate. That is speculative, I haven't actually checked it, but it's something that I've seen other devices do, which wouldn't be the worst thing. If I can actually find some kind of settings display, let's see. So it's set to intelligence, so it actually looks like it will switch it on its own, which, there we go. So we can set it to 60 or 90 on system, and then have it right here, launch games through there, which will boost up your refresh rate. So anyway, also if you try to quit it, it stays in the application. That's a little bit of a bummer here. It adds an extra step which was unnecessary. So to leave this application, as you can see, you kind of can't get your panel back, so you have to hold this little thing right over here. But the application itself will provide you with additional performance, which is really nice, especially considering this device is intended for this purpose. Now, next thing that I'll mention are the triggers, which again are really great. They need to be set up the first time around, so actually let's go back to the Shark Space. So once you open up game, you will have some kind of interface, obviously. Let's see if I can actually find how to launch some kind of multiplayer. Okay, so it doesn't look like I have some kind of test mode here, but anyway, I can still show it. So anyway, once you have it open, you can pull out the panel for gaming, and you do it by just swiping like this from the corner downwards at an angle, and this will bring up basically this gaming interface with a bunch of information and a bunch of settings. And in here we have, I believe it was this right here, master controls. Yep, that's it. So this will allow you to set up where these triggers are. So when you press them, it will press on the screen basically. So for me it's A and B right here, so it's aim and shoot for this game right here. Additionally, you can also select motions, which is additional, I believe, layer, which will allow you to basically twist the screen and flip it in like different ways to activate some other additional triggers, which again adds a little bit more customization and quick access to some different things. So now going to the triggers, if I flip it over, as you can see, these sweet triggers. Let's close this and see if there's anything that this will press. Nope. So anyway, that is basically the function of these triggers. It's also really nice. Additionally, once you leave the this gaming space, they will do other functions. So as you can see, I just pressed it by mistake actually, but this function, or this trigger in the bottom one, will launch the one-handed mode. So you can see you can quickly launch one-handed mode, and this one will capture a screenshot. So there we go. Now you can also change those triggers, what they do, and the settings, and what they do right here, because in gaming mode they only have, I believe, one function. So anyway, moving on to the next one. This is going to be a fairly simple, but it's a dark mode. So again, it's under the display section right here. You can simply turn it on by tapping on it, but you do also have the option to set it up as a schedule mode, which will turn on and off depending on the date of time, what time it is. So you can have it set so during the daytime you have it in light mode, and during the nighttime you have the dark mode, which in my opinion would be probably the best case scenario. So here you actually have that option. And moving on to the last thing that I wanted to show you is the gesture navigation. Now on this phone, throughout the setup, you actually don't have it set by default, nor do you have the any kind of notification about it, which is a little bit of a shame. Nowadays phones do have it either set by default throughout even the setup, the gesture navigation, or give you the option to choose between them, but here you don't have anything like this. So you have to go manually into the settings after you finish up the setup of the device, navigate to the home screen right over here, system navigation, and choose the gesture. Now when you're enabling it for the first time, I believe you do have the option to learn how to use them. I can select not now, which will completely remove them, just an instruction. And honestly, the use of them is fairly simple. So you swipe from either side to go back. As you can see, there's a tiny little arrow that just appeared that will activate the back gesture, and it works from either side. Then you have swipe up to go home, and swipe up and hold to go to recent. And lastly, for the people that sometimes might struggle with using the gestures, which I've seen people struggle with them, when you're swiping up to either home or recent gesture, what I will advise you to do, let me just open something that is, there we go, let's switch it so you can see the screen. So when you're swiping up for home or recent gestures, I recommend you to do it on the bezel onto the screen, which will basically ensure that you always get the gesture correctly. Because sometimes you might swipe on the screen itself and the phone will think that you're just trying to swipe up, for instance like this. So swiping off of the bezel onto the screen will ensure that you always get it correctly. So that being said, this would conclude all the tweaks and tricks that I wanted to share with you, and if you found this very helpful, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and thanks for watching.